The Gospels during Lent, particularly the Year A Gospels, they're very lengthy passages from the Gospel of John. When we use the Gospel of John, a lot of times we have to do an entire chapter because the way that St. John structured his Gospel, it's a dialogue, and it's a long dialogue, and it's a dialogue that has all kinds of stages. If you had to do Socratic dialogues in school, it's exactly the same structure. There's a call and response, there's a question, there's an answer, there's a misunderstanding, and through that question and answer and misunderstanding, there comes a greater understanding. So that's what we have here with the Gospel of the Samaritan woman. And this Gospel leads us through the different stages of faith, or at least one of the possible ways to understand the stages of faith. We begin with a woman who doesn't even realize that she has anything that she needs or wants. Jesus says, "Give me a drink." This is like many of us who are so preoccupied with what's going on, so obviously focused on family or job or money or whatever else, that God tries to get our attention, and we're suddenly like, what was that? Who is this? What's going on? We're sort of so numb that he asks us something, and immediately we're like, this isn't right. Right? The woman was like, look, you're a Jew, I'm a Samaritan, let's just pretend this didn't happen and move on. That's a lot of times the first time God tries to get our attention. Yeah, let's just pretend this didn't happen and move on. I don't really need this in my life. Just go away, please. But God is very persistent. God continues to invite over and over and over again. So Jesus provides that additional invitation, and the woman then starts asking practical questions. All right, you want to give me some water? How are you going to do that? Cistern's real deep, and you don't have a bucket. That is, again, a very common response to God. Okay, God, you're going to keep making these invitations. Now I'm going to be like a skeptical teenager. Yeah, okay, sure. How are you going to pull that off? God, you want to be part of my life? What does that even look like? How could you even do that? Jesus promises her water, and her immediate response is, yeah, I don't think you can pull that off. She doesn't even allow herself to get her hopes up. She doesn't allow herself to say, maybe there is something greater. What God is promising is greater. There's a part, and we'll see this evolve in the dialogue, there's a part of her that knows that she wants something greater, but she will not allow herself to believe that something greater is possible. Because to get her hopes up and to have those hopes dashed would be too much. Jesus pushes again. Look, I've got this living water. It's going to well up from within you. And the woman finally realizes this is everything that she wants. This is what she's been praying for. This is the deep desire of her heart. So finally, she's open. Finally, she believes that maybe it's possible that what God is offering could be given to her. And so she asks. She says, okay, fine, I'm open. I'm hopeful. Give it to me. I'm ready. This is great. Please. Jesus then flips the script on her. He's pushing, he's inviting, he's like, look, just ask, just ask. She finally asks, and he's like, okay, now that you've asked, we got to talk about some stuff. You got these 5 husbands. It's kind of a problem. That's how it goes for us as well. We're hopeful. We're finally ready to have a conversation with God. We're finally ready to receive what he wants to give us. But then he has to point out, you're not actually ready. Finally you want it. Finally you're asking. But as much as he wants to give us his grace, we have to make room for that grace. If we have barriers, if we have problems, if we have sins that are creating a gap between us and God, we can't receive what he wants to give. Right? He's constantly pouring that grace on us, but if we haven't made space, where's that grace going to go? And so Jesus, finally creating that curiosity and that hope in that woman, finally has her in a place where he can say, look, you have to get to repentance. You have to actually fix your life before I can give you what I desire to give you. What's her response? Well, it's all of our response. It's to challenge, right? She got her hopes up, and she still hopes, and there's a belief that God can actually bless her. But then God asks her to change something in her life. And when somebody asks us to change something in our life, we immediately push back. I'm not going to presume on your marriages, but let's say one of your spouses brought something up, and they're like, hey, maybe your life would be better if you did this, or maybe our house would be better if you did this. How many of you have later had to confess a response that was, well, what about this thing that you do? Isn't that a problem too? Do we not do this? We do this. We do this with God. All right, Lord, fine. You want me to change this thing, but what about all of this stuff? The woman responds to Jesus with this question about worship. And she does so because the question about worship is an intractable question. It's divided the Jews and the Samaritans for 500 years. And so she's like, well, you know what? If I want to make this guy go away, but I don't want it to be my fault, then I'm going to throw this question in his face because no Jew has been able to answer this question for 500 years. Good luck answering this in a way that preserves your Jewish identity and doesn't offend me as a Samaritan. But Jesus, being Jesus, threads that needle. And he figures out a way to preach to this woman in a way that it will be received. And she's like, oh no. Like, now I can't escape it. I got to change my life with these 5 men. I have to actually be open to this change because he's promising me things that I want, that I desire. And he's asking me to change. And he actually has the authority to ask me because he's just shown himself to be a prophet. Oh no. What's the last thing that she says? Well, she brings up the Christ. She's finally to the place now where she's hoping against hope. Where she's saying, oh man, like, if this really is what's going on, maybe the deepest desire of my heart that I cannot even admit to myself, that I've never even been courageous enough to hope for, maybe, just maybe, this is what's going on. And in that final moment, Jesus reveals himself to her plainly. Yes, I am the Christ. Yes, you are speaking to the Christ. And now, everything she's ever wanted, every shred of her humanity has been fulfilled. Everything she's ever prayed for is now there. And what's the response? She runs into the village, announcing to everybody that she has found the Christ, that they should come and meet him. Now, this woman was at the well in the middle of the day because she was ostracized by her peers. You don't go in the Middle East to a well in the middle of the day. It's really hot. You only go there if everybody else at the well in the morning or in the evening doesn't want to see you. This woman had her life changed so deeply by Jesus in the course of this dialogue that she does not care about her social status. She is so emboldened by her encounter with the Lord that she goes and preaches that gospel to everybody who previously rejected her. The reason this gospel is given to us in Lent for the first scrutiny is because this is the stages of faith that all of us are going through. And these are the stages of faith that we recognize our catechumens have very likely gone through. Now, whenever we talk about stages, we don't want to assume that you go through the stages once and you're done. All of these are going to be present at all of the deeper invitations of God. God might invite us once, and we might go through the skepticism, and then we go through the need to change, and then we go through having our life changed, and then he might call us to something deeper, and we go through those stages again. Our catechumens, presumably, going through these stages for the first time, why you recognize this here, and we talk about Jesus' invitation into faith. But all of us should consider, where are we at? Are we in a place where God is just trying to get our attention? He's just trying to start a conversation, and we're so preoccupied that we can't even pay attention to that. Are we in a place where we no longer trust or believe God, that he tells us he wants to do something good for us and we immediately shut him down? Are we in a place where we're desperate for God, where we finally say, yeah, I want what you're promising, please give it to me, but we're unwilling to receive the challenge to change what we have to change so that God can give that to us? Are we in a place where we know what that change is, but we're trying to find an excuse or a rationalization to ignore it? Or are we in a place where we've made the change and now we're just waiting for the encounter? We're waiting for God to truly show himself and reveal himself and bless us. Wherever you're at, St. John sees you. The church sees you. Your responsibility is to try to lean into that as best as you can. Continue, as best as you can, to go to the Lord, to confront your own heart, to confront your own reservations, to understand the rationalizations that we make as a human being, and to be courageous enough to lay it down. Whatever it is, preoccupation, skepticism, an unwillingness to change, whatever it is, be courageous enough to lay it at the feet of Jesus and say, Lord, I know that I'm weak, I know that I'm flawed, I know that I'm stubborn, I know that I'm hard-headed, I know that I'm sinful. Please, Lord, through your grace, through your work, change me. Change my heart, change my mind, change my life. Through your presence, through your work, please bring me the greatness, that living water, which you wish to give to all people. My dear catechumens, as you continue through this process, we are so happy. We are so happy that you met the Lord at the well, that you met him, and that you listened to him, and that you continue to try to walk with him. And if he calls you into something difficult, if he promises you something that you can't believe, or if he asks you to change something that you think is too hard, lean on the Lord. Ask him for the water that he wishes to give you. And know that on the day of your baptism, the grace of those sacraments will carry you forward always through every challenge and every difficulty.